Brad, I sometimes feel that people who might not have studied economics or been in business, they kind of just put it to the side. But it is really the engine of everything else that we care about. We need to do well economically in order to support all the things that we want to support culturally. And I want to bring this up, Brad. I don't know if you saw this, or our viewers. It was brought to my attention. I read the article, and if you haven't seen it or read it, to everyone watching or listening, please do. It's really worth it. It's a short article out of the Financial Times, and the title is "Why Canada Isn't an Economic Giant." And it talks about the fact that we've got the largest coastline. We border the most strongest economy in the world, that of course being the United States. And we have all these natural resources, not just in energy right now, but also these rare earth minerals that are used for this energy transition. And during the commercial break, you termed it so well. We've almost been focused on everything but the economy for the past number of years. How are you seeing this play out?
It's an abiding concern I have, and I think a number of Canadians share that concern. I saw that article you're referencing, and thank goodness there's this kind of commentary that's now started, and especially in the months ahead of the next election. And I should back up a little bit here and say this is not about an anti-liberal rant. In the Chrétien and Martin years, we had a federal government that was focused on trade, that was focused on the economy, that was focused on fiscal discipline, getting the budget back to balance. So, but this specific government seems to have any number of things on its list ahead of economic matters, ahead of the fiscal health of the country, which underpins our economic strength as a nation. It seems to, global affairs seems to be more about the sort of the current global cultural debates and wars than it does about trade and or security, I would say, and that
Right.
doesn't make sense to me. Shouldn't the number one priority of the sort of the trade side, the global side of the federal government, be trade issues for the reasons we've already canvassed: a small population, prolific resources, and other things to sell around the world and export? Shouldn't we be focused on that? And I just really have my view, and I've said this in various talks that I've given. I said it when I was in my old job, that
Mm-hmm.
people should demand from their government at the provincial and federal level that their number one priority is always the economy, not exclusively the economy, but that their number one concern when their feet hit the floor in the morning is, what are we going to do to stay out of the way of women and men who create jobs in this country, stay out of the way of the good things happening in the economy, and what else can we do to help provide some wind in the sails, perhaps? And that's not what this government's
Mm-hmm.
been doing. They've been talking about, I mean, it's hard. I remember when the first meeting of premiers was called after Mr. Trudeau was elected prime minister, a number of premiers said the only thing on this agenda is climate change, and we have economic issues to discuss, and they were having none of it.
Hmm.
And so we talked about climate change for 2 days, and then at the
Really?
next meeting
That
of
was the
premiers,
only
we talked about
that was the
climate
only
change.
thing on the agenda.
It
That was the only thing on the
was the
agenda.
only thing on the agenda. And then the next one, of course, is when it went sideways, and when I was the only premier, I guess at the time, it was a lonely meeting that wouldn't sign on to the carbon tax. And now there's a few others that are opposing it. We understand that it hasn't delivered what it was supposed to deliver, and it's at $50, going up to $170 a ton. It's the biggest threat to affordability for Canadians there is, and frankly to economic competitiveness, I would say. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, back to the point. So I challenge Canadians to in the next election as it comes up, vote for whomever you want to vote for. But the first question should be to your candidate: is your number one priority the economy? Because it pays for every public service, every public good, everything you want the public sector or the
Yep.
private sector to provide. The latter, in terms of a job, comes from an economy that's sustainable and strong. And so our question to our
Mm-hmm.
candidates should be: what are you doing to make that your priority? Because
Yeah.
it hasn't been, it
Yeah.
has not been for eight years.
Well, and it's interesting as well because you bring up affordability, and I know everybody's feeling that and feeling the pinch and the housing unaffordability. There's an interesting note as well in this FT article that I mentioned. The purchasing power of Canadians is 15th in the world. We are behind Turkey, Italy, and Mexico, and that our growth is projected to be less than the most advanced countries through 2060. So we need to be changing some of the policies and recognizing the strength and the power of our resources and our people. Such a highly educated workforce. We need to put it to work. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.